America was built on the backs of men who smoked cigarettes, drove without seatbelts, and had bacon for breakfast. If you miss your biohacking routine this morning, you're going to be okay. There's a time for leverage, but there's also a time for violence, which is just brute force. People get really obsessed with optimal, which is getting the most bang for your buck, but there's also maximizing, which is just getting the most bucks. You lose more life trying to optimize everything than just living it. The stress of trying to be perfect is killing you more quickly than your imperfections.
Mm. I think that's an ode to being willing to take huge amounts of imperfect action towards one goal and being willing to sacrifice other things for an extended period of time, despite the fact that other people say they're making a sacrifice. Like when we enter seasons, I call it, the season of no, which is where I have an extended duration where I say no to almost everything. And most people say that's unbalanced. And they hurl that as though it's a bad thing. They're like, that's so unbalanced. And you're like, yes, that's the point. Because if I had a balanced outcome, then I won't have the outsized return on this one thing. And so again, like there's so many of these little insults that people will throw at you, like you're unbalanced, you changed, that they intend as insults. But if you actually don't take your society programmed response and say, oh, they mean to insult me. But if you actually think about what they're saying something that's true. And then we just need to be okay with that truth because that was the choice we made to begin with. And so I think about that a lot, which is like, how many things do people tell me that they intend to insult me with that I can take as a compliment?
Didn't someone bump into Layla walking down the street?
Yeah. It happened so recently. So yeah, we're walking in the street. Someone bumps into her. We don't always walk like side by side because there's lots of people. So we like split up sometimes. Anyway, she comes back to me and she was like, guess what this guy just said? And I was like, what? And she was like, he called me a skinny bitch. And I was like, what? But she seemed so happy. And I was like, I just kind of shook my head, like, tell me more, like explain. She was like, I mean, he said I was skinny. And I was like, this is the perfect example of him hurling an insult and her choosing not to be insulted.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks.
No, but really.
Yeah. Do you really mean it? Yeah. I wonder how many times we've been insulted, even in my younger days where someone said something to me that like, if I had my current brain, I could have been like, you really mean it? Thanks, man. And, yeah, like so unbalanced. I remember I took that as such an insult for such a long period of time. Now, part of that was because when I was being brought up, balance was like one of the big frames of my household was like, you have to be balanced, which really just meant you have to be awesome at everything. But balance was the word. So being unbalanced was a term that was used as an insult. And so for so many years, I wanted to be balanced. But then I was like, well, nothing great was ever achieved by people who tried to be great at all things. And so I was like, okay, I'm just not going to, I might not have a great relationship for a long period of time. I mean, there was like a lot of people don't know this, but in the early days of our relationship, even when we were married, I told Leia, so the first 3 years, I said the business comes before our marriage. So a lot of people don't know that. And I was like, well, to me, it made sense. It was like most people break up over money. The business makes money. So the business feeds us and then we will be okay. And that was kind of my thinking around it. And we eventually flipped that and said, like, if we're good, the business will be fine. But it took 3 years to get there. But all that to say, like, I think having periods of imbalance, and maybe to be fair, if I hadn't had that priority at that time, maybe Gym Launch wouldn't have been what it became. And so I can't look back and say like, I should have done it different because it's really easy to say that now. But like, I might not be here to say that if I had been that way.
What's next? What can people expect from you next few months?
Well, all my effort is in the Skool Games. So we're, I can talk about them. I can not talk about them. Yeah. So I just made the biggest investment in my life. I'm now co-owner of Skool.com. It's a platform where you can build what you want to build, learn what you want to learn. And, schools will give you the tools, the community, and the education to help you. And so we've actually created a whole thing where people can start all this stuff for free. Because I believe my whole platform has been education. That's what I believe in. I think the education system is broken, and teachers don't get paid or given the resources to actually teach students. And they're supposed to teach tests that they know don't help students. Students get educated on stuff that doesn't matter in the real world, and they go into mountains of debt for a piece of paper that doesn't make them anything to pay off the debt that they're in for the rest of their lives. And I hate all of it, which is why we started making the content that we do. And so this is one big investment that I'm doing to try and make my small dent towards helping fix that. And I obviously talk about business. That's what I know. Okay. But one person can't do that. Like, I can't change. I mean, I can try, but like, I don't think one person's going to change the world. And so, I wanted to invest in a platform that would help other people do that for one another. And so whether it's like, you know how to paint and you want to teach people how to paint, you know how to fix Hondas and you want to teach people to do that. Like, there are so many more useful skills that we can trade with one another. And I think Ben Franklin said, there's no more noble a deed than to help another know more, to educate. And I wholeheartly believe that. And so, I mean, that's what I'm investing my dollars and my time into. And so, yeah, that's like my whole next year in terms of what I'm investing. Obviously at acquisition.com, we continue to invest. We're a family office. And so if you have a business that you want to sell or scale, you can hit us up. And so if all this school stuff sounded interesting to you, I do have an easy offer for you. You can go to skool.com/games. And what we have inside for you is we have 3 calls a week with guys who are actually making tens of hundreds of thousands of dollars a month on Skool, using the platform, teaching you exactly what they did step by step. So we've got calls for you of other people. We've got a community of others to help you out. And I think the benefit here is that you get people who are both starting with you at zero, but people who are also at the end of the race cheering you on. And so you kind of have like 3 types of accountability. So you've got peer accountability, you've got kind of like coach accountability because people are rooting for you, but then you also have alumni accountability, people who've already been through it. And then I made a course that I put in there. It's free. It just shows you how to do this, the different ways to play the game, the different kind of like avatars that you can self-select. Maybe I'm somebody who likes making content. Maybe I'm somebody who's better at ads. Maybe I'm somebody who already has an audience. Maybe I'm somebody who likes outbound. Maybe I'm somebody who likes to have a partner. So I break down all the different paths that you can use to really start making money on the internet with what I think is the easiest business model out there. The best part, in my opinion, is that all of this stuff, obviously we have the prizes, the top 10 get to fly out, so hopefully you can do that. But you only need 3 people, and I just did a 1-day full deep dive. It's 8 hours of me just helping the top 10 communities scale, and those recordings are live right now. So if I had a $100,000 mastermind or something, this would be it, except it's yours and it's free. And here's my incentive for you. If you just get 3 people into your group. All right, so I like to put like as low as I possibly could. You get 3 people into your group. You can get your friends in there. I don't care if you cheated. It's fine. Get 3 people into your community, and you get all the downloads from that. And all of this stuff, you can start for free for 14 days, just so you can get a feel for it. You can go in there, download everything, and steal it all for all I care. All right? But my hope is that you actually use it so you can make your first dollar. And I will just repeat this one stat because I think it's the most important stat I think of the business right now, is that 30.4% of people who finish their first month of the Skool Games make their first dollar online.